My name's Melina. I'm the fiancé of Joshua Lee McCollister, who was murdered on July 8th by Deunn Willis and robbed by Danielle Durand. You know, somebody got on my page just now, Justice for Joshua Lee McCollister, and made some bitchy comment about I never offer proof of anything, like, how do I know that our stalkers knew he was autistic? Well, gee, because I already said they weren't strangers. They knew us. Josh wore this autism lanyard pretty much every day. He had an autism tattoo. He talked about being autistic all the time. Even if you couldn't tell that he was autistic, even if you weren't that savvy, it's just like, he wore it on his sleeve. He was proud of not being neurotypical. They knew. They absolutely knew, just like they absolutely knew about him being a cancer survivor, and they knew a lot of other really grotesque things that had happened to him. Horrible things that had been done to him. They knew about it, and they used it to their advantage. So, you know, it's so hard when you go through something like this for months and months, and it was as volatile and horrible as it was, to have to be in a position where I have to prove this. My fiance is dead. If you don't believe me about the circumstances that we were being stalked, I really don't care. I really don't. Because I know that I sent multiple emails to Fort Bragg PD about this situation. Specifically, Officer Franco. I talked about this situation with him, and I wrote to him about the situation. And, you know, I'm very back the blue. I'm not saying anything against Officer Franco. I think he's actually a really nice guy. But they knew how bad the situation was. And, you know, the impression that I had is the two people that were making Josh and my life a living hell, one of them they would have been very happy to go after. But the other one they didn't want to touch. Because when I reported that that other person actually committed a felony, and it was, I think, a pretty easily demonstrable felony, they didn't do anything. This is not my word, just my word online. I wrote a letter to FBPD about this, specifically to Officer Franco. I know that if Officer Franco's watching this, they know exactly what I'm talking about. The last time I saw Officer Franco, he said very nicely something to the effect of, "Is there anything you want to tell me?" And I just felt so trapped at that point, because bad things had happened to me. More bad things were gonna happen to me. And they didn't have to. They really just didn't have to. If that felony that I wrote to Officer Franco about, that I wrote to FBPD about, if they had followed up on that, all the stalking would have just stopped. It would have stopped, or at least would have been very ineffective. You know, of the two people, one I call the instigator and one I call the enabler. The enabler had money, influence. Anybody from Fort Bragg knows that that's a very different scenario. If that person with money and influence had been held to account for committing a felony months ago, my fiance would absolutely not be dead. Absolutely not be dead. Like, what the heck is it in small towns that if someone is well known, they can get away with whatever the heck they want? You shouldn't be able to say to law enforcement, this person committed a felony, and no investigation at all takes place. None absolutely none. And this is after the thing regarding my dad came out. So, like, I don't know if this to some degree was like FBPD getting even, the fact that they let this happen to me, but they did. They absolutely did. And it breaks my heart to say that, because I'm back the blue. And again, I thought Officer Franco was a great guy. There's no excuse that this didn't get looked into. I mean, the kind of felony this was multiple years in prison. And my fiance really, something had been done about it. He wouldn't have had to flee the area. I mean, we still would have had to get him set up with oncology and neurology because of his health conditions, but we would have just done it in the Bay Area. We wouldn't have actually had to move our entire family to get away. So, in terms of you never offer any proof, FBPD knows exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why I say that the people that did this to us deserve to be in prison, but they probably won't be, because FBPD had a chance. They still do. They're still within the statute of limitations. But I don't think anything will happen. I think they're just going to be allowed to do this. Because, you know, that's how it works in Fort Bragg, right? And even if they were prosecuted now, even if they get multiple years for what they did, and they should, my fiance is still dead. He still had to flee the area to get specifically away from this person, you know. A couple days before he died, he uploaded a couple reels on his Facebook page for me. And one of them actually is a direct screw you to one of our stalkers. And it's just so funny that that's the note he went out on. You know, one reel is very loving towards me, and the other one is a screw you to a horrible person. That same horrible person who messaged me that they didn't want to hurt anyone. So anyway, I do not have time to deal with this you have to prove yourself crap regarding my fiance's murder. I don't. I so don't. So, you want to get uppity on my page, I'll just block you. The way that people treat you when you have a murder victim close to you, believe me, it's surprising. I have been tremendously shocked by how supportive strangers have been and how unsupportive people I know have been. Anyway, I don't have to prove a damn thing.